Hello, my name is Venky Renganathan. I'm the CTO of Plainsight, and here's Abhijit Bhatnagar. He is the principal software engineer on the team, and we are here to talk about Plainsight and what are some of the things that we have delivered in the releases up until now, and what we have plans for. I'm super excited about what we have to offer as a company and the enablement that we provide to the developers of the application. So let's start with uh, what it takes to build a computer vision application. Um, if you think about a life of a developer of a computer vision application, they have to be able to connect the camera or upload a video that they want to process, and they want to be able to create a pipeline. We have in Plainsight what's called the VisOps pipeline, which actually think about DevOps, except it's a computer vision applications. So we have a visual operations a pipeline where we can actually build a full application using the model, the data, the source code that goes with it, and be able to create the application in the pipeline and be able to train that model to be able to use the data and be able to have an AI application of the system where you're able to continually look at data and be able to process what's happening in the application in what the camera is seeing. And then we should be able to deploy that application into production so that others can use it. We can review the data. It's actually in production so that it can be a system that's deployed in a enterprise. So a developer can be enterprise level developer or a hobbyist. Anybody that wants to deploy an application on computer vision will go through this entire process. So Plainsight's claim to fame is that we do enable developers create these applications in the VisOps pipeline, be able to evaluate applications right along the way, so that we know whether an application is good, the model is trained, and we have the right application deployed. So what are the problems we are solving? If you think about it, in many historically with computer vision applications, there's less visibility. Like you don't know actually what's happening with the application. Now we are able to sort of actually visualize, see the data that is actually processed all along the pipeline. So you can actually see it in the portal as well as get it from the command line interface also. The other one is if you think about validation. So today, not all AI applications, especially in vision, everybody uses accuracy, precision, that sort of metric, but we don't have a very clear pass-fail criteria for applications. Mm-hmm. So we introduced that validation mechanism. We call it Plainsight Eval, and that actually provides a way to test the application and validate that it's a good application to deploy into production. And finally, the friction that comes with just creating the application. It used to be painful back in earlier years, but now it's super simple. There's a bunch of resources we have in open filter. You can deploy a filter that's already created for you, or you could create your own filter using our product. So you can use the filter, use the data, use the model that all comes along with this filter container, if you will, and be able to create your own application with less friction. And again, have the visibility to see, what's happening. So that's the overall. We now want to dive into what we have shipped so far, what we have actually created. So I'm going to ask Abhijit a bunch of questions, and then we go from there. Abhijit, thank you for being here and helping us know more. So let's start with the beginning of the application, right? Like, so in the beginning, if I'm a developer, I start with a camera. So what are the kind of things that happen, and what is the experience today with the product?
Yeah, so taking a step into the shoes of a developer, and what they do on a day-to-day basis is important, so that we can start understanding their pain points and start solving and simplifying them. So if I am a new developer and I have no background in computer vision, then I'm going to be lost. Um, if I have to lay out the steps, essentially at a high level, it looks something like this. Step one is I have a camera feed that I need to extract video out. And then on this video, I need to do some processing to extract intelligent information. And then I need to persist this intelligent information in some data store so that I'm able to make decisions from this information. So at a very high level, these are the 4 steps. Now, breaking these high-level steps down, there are a couple of things that a developer needs to do to make sure that their computer vision application is of a high quality. Before they're actually able to use a live stream, they need to train certain machine learning computer vision models on sort of training videos. Now, these training videos may be previously recorded videos, or they may be live videos. So they need some infrastructure to store and process existing videos, as well as train their computer vision models on these videos. So the models are able to identify what they are looking at, right? Then once they have a initial version of a computer vision model working, they need to package it into some sort of an application that can then be deployed. Once it's deployed, they may choose to continuously upgrade it by developing new models or by adding in new features and capabilities. But they also want to continuously evaluate if the newer versions of the application are up to the same quality bar that was deployed previously. Is it better, or is it working poorer than before?
This is our test Plainsight Eval product.
Yes. Yeah. So exactly. So after this is done, they need to continuously monitor the performance of their application. So is the application I deployed actually working or not? Is the application continuously detecting the subject that it was trained to detect, right? So breaking down these steps into sort of automation and via the Plainsight service is what we have been working on in the last release and delivering features for.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So some of the key things in the last release have been, for example, even before you upload a video, the sign-up experience. So if you're a brand new user, we've actually created a very cool sign-up experience on the Plainsight portal. And you can create a user, create an organization, set yourself up for all the data you're going to be seeing to begin with, right? And then this whole entire process of uploading a video, that's so much easier, so much better. Also reading from a live stream. In terms of pipeline, so from start to finish, creating a pipeline, looking at the data in the pipeline, what's being processed. So we have the subject data information on the site.
Yeah, so now on the portal, a new user can come and sign up as a new user. You can create your organization and select a team size. Then you can choose one of the prepaid open filter plans that support how many different pipelines you can deploy to different environments. You can then, on the portal today, you can create pipelines, and you can and you can run the pipelines, and then you can observe the subject data on that's being generated by these pipelines. So in the previous release, we exposed some of these features on the UI so that every user can now start interacting with the Plainsight product and start observing what their computer vision applications are doing.
Yeah, I think so. One of the key points that you sort of brought it up is we built the product. We support both the VisOps pipeline all the way from creation to deployment, as well as evaluating the application. Uh, we are continuously improving the product with more features and capabilities. So over the course of the next few releases, we'll be actually continuously upgrading it so that developers have an easy experience, have a very exciting experience about using the product.
Yeah.
Right. So one question for you would be, in terms of creating the pipeline and in terms of running the pipeline, so what are some of the features that are going to help?
So in the upcoming releases, we are working on the API and the UI support for instantiating or running multiple instances of a single pipeline. What this allows you to do is, imagine you have a computer vision application to detect cars on on a traffic light. Now, if you have, let's say, multiple traffic lights in the city, then you want to deploy one instance of a pipeline to every traffic light, right? So what we are going to allow in the next release is the ability to run multiple instances of a single pipeline on some deployed hardware.
Yeah.
So this is step 2 in the day of a developer, where they not only create the first pipeline, but then they also run it.
Correct. That's pretty awesome. So they can have multiple pipelines. For example, the test could be its own pipeline.
Yes.
Right.
So one of the things that we are working on is the Plainsight Eval feature, where it allows you to evaluate 2 versions of the same pipeline.
Correct.
What that means is, whenever you are upgrading a pipeline, then you want to make sure that the newer version is actually better than the previous version, right?
Correct.
So you want to run some sort of an evaluation. Hey, I'm going to deploy this version. Is this actually good or not? So with the Plainsight Eval feature, you're going to be able to test test a pipeline against a set of curated videos. Now, these videos may be pre-captured, uploaded videos, or you can also do synthetic videos,
right,
where you can test the pipelines against some synthetically generated videos to see how your pipelines performs.
Yeah, pretty cool. So one other thing, can you touch on creating using the MCP server implementation for, with an IDE support for creating new tests, for example? So,
yeah, one of the things that we focused on in the release was the MCP server integration. There is a school of thought where developers like to maintain the flow in the flow state in their mind. As a developer, if I have to continuously switch context but between different products and different UIs, I just get tired by the end of the day. I'm not able to be as productive as I should be. So it's always easier for me if everything I need to do is limited within my IDE or my integrated development environment.
Right.
So the OpenFilter MCP server now integrates with the Plainsight APIs and exposes tools to create organizations, create pipelines, create pipeline instances, create tests, and run those tests all via the MCP server.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So you don't have to leave that environment.
You don't have to leave.
You can do everything within the IDE environment, which is great for developers. So they don't have to do the context switch, like you said.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty cool. We are super excited about all the things that have been delivered and what we are going to deliver. The entire idea is about improving the experience for the developers, both in a SaaS platform scenario where there are actually 3, but one would be sort of the hosted by Plainsight environment. Then there is the open source support. So you can have a Kubernetes cluster open source. You can deploy your own, create your own pipeline, deploy your own pipeline on your environment. And also in the future, we're going to have an on-prem case where all the data and the pipeline is locally contained within that environment.
Yeah,
kind of thing. So there are multiple ways of deploying the application.
Yeah. So we've been thinking about how a consumer would deploy applications a lot.
Yes.
We think that there are 3 or 4 major patterns. You could choose to deploy, you can choose to own everything and manage your own environments. We call it a self-managed, self-hosted application environment where, as a user, I get my own edge servers, I curate my own applications, and I own the deployment. So you could today make use of the open filter, open source repositories to do all of those. Then the second pattern is where I'm not an expert in an application development, right? And I want all of my experience to be completely managed by somebody else. That's where the sort of the Plainsight managed infrastructure software as a service comes into play, where all you need to do is go to the Plainsight portal. You can create a pipeline. You can train the pipeline filters. You can create instances, and all of this will be running on hosted infrastructure that's owned and operated by Plainsight. All you need to do is connect the live video streams to the pipeline instances that you created on the portal.
Yeah, yeah. For those that have heard this term multiple times, filters, and you're not aware of what we do, the concept of open filter is that, first of all, filters help you narrow down exactly what you want to see as part of an input video. For example, you could have an object detection filter that looks at avocados or protein on a plate if you're in the food industry. Or you could look at a license plate, for example, and see more details about the license plate, like the state or the license number, ID, I guess. So those filters are pretty amazing in that it lets you manage the amount of data you collect because you filter the data. So you're able to process a smaller amount of data than you would normally, because that used to be a big problem where computer vision applications had to deal with a lot of data from the camera. And without filters, you wouldn't know exactly what you're identifying and work with less data so that you can be efficient on the GPUs and the CPUs requirement on the hardware. So what we do with filters is we have two types of it, right? One is there are pre-packaged or pre-delivered filters, readily available filters on our open filter location. So it's a public open source set of filters. You can also create your own filter. So we made it easy for you to create your own filter. And when you create a filter, think of it as a container. So it has the model that we work with. It has the data. It has the source code. So the filter is a container that can be deployed, and you can deploy multiple filters in a chain fashion. You can chain multiple filters and then deploy that in the pipeline. So when we talk about pipeline, it's a whole bunch of filters working together and having data being consumed and transformed, and the model being trained. So it's a very powerful concept mechanism for us to implement computer vision applications. So do check it out. You can go to the site, play with it. You can develop your own application, give us feedback. We always love to hear from anyone that tries to build an application. We'd love to support you, answer questions. Again, my name is Venky and this name is Abhijit. We're always available either on LinkedIn or otherwise you can contact Plainsight. Yeah, please let us know any questions, but we are super excited about where we are going as a company and what we are providing to our customers, users, developers, the ability to create applications, manage their own application, deploy it, and be successful. Thank you. Thank you, Abhijit.
Thank you, Venky.